It was the race of the past 24 hours. Which would I get to first? Carrie or the new Pokemon movie? Take a guess.
Cue! Title scene! Before we go any further, a little disclaimer. No one here at Kevin and Friends actually hates or dislikes Stephen King. He is a very good writer and a master at his craft. Because of this, here are some good Stephen King novels. Read the books because traditionally, Hollywood is known for taking Stephen King works of fiction and making them more scary than necessary. He is not necessarily a horror writer, but a good master of suspense thrillers. Unfortunately, Hollywood being Hollywood, this means everything has to be blood and gore. No more is this prevalent than with Carrie. Even though, yes, there are many good examples of bad Stephen King adaptations that follow this loosely, this one, for many, does take the cake. The thing is that this film really, even though at the time it felt like a showing of what bullying can become and what one can do with horror effects, in reality, it's basically just a pseudo-porn that with a lot of blood gore for the end. The characters aren't connectable, the mother is scary but uninteresting, and the daughter looks like she's 30, so you're never really in the film. The question is, does this time, in 2013, in the year of fake mandarins and kick-ass little girls, does this film give Carrie the adaptation it deserves? Not really. Look, I know it has become a thing on the internet to hate this movie because there is no reason for it, but in the grand scheme of things, it is not good. Albeit we had our good horror film of the year with The Conjuring, but this film just sucks. It is not scary, it's barely even interesting. The problem here is that anything that could have scared or kept you invested was ruined by 80 kajillion commercials all showing the exact same scenes all over again. We all know the period in the shower scene. We all know the crazy psychotic outbreak at the end. We know the couple scenes where she shows off her powers and telepathy. That is another big problem. This film isn't scary or suspenseful. It feels like a bad ripoff of Chronicle. I know that's a weird comparison. One's a horror and the other's a sci-fi, but that's the problem. This film doesn't feel like anything new. For the past year that we've been hearing about this movie, all we've heard is how much it's going to change and adapt and make things seem different. It would modernize Carrie and make it feel like today's world. No, it doesn't. Except for a scene or two with camera phones, this could have been the freaking 70s. I didn't feel invested in the time period. Chloe Moretz does a fairly good job as Carrie, but she's not given a lot to work with. The film is really too short to accomplish anything. She's generically bullied, and then she gets her power, she studies that for a little while, and then prom. The problem is we know all this stuff. By the time it happens on screen, we're so desensitized, it doesn't matter. The thing is, there's no reason for this film to exist because everyone who would see this movie knows this movie already. That is the problem. When you remake a movie, it has to be adapted for a new audience, or at the very least, just not be something the audience knows. This film felt like such a rip-off of the original that I didn't know what to think. Like I said, I may not care for the original, but I respect what it did in the horror genre. But this film doesn't really do anything. It hits all the methodic points, it hits all the cliches, it just felt unnecessary. Julianne Moore was the scariest element of this movie. She was frightful, she was disturbing, and unfortunately we know parents like her do exist. But once again, we know everything about it going into it. And in the modern day world, you have to be left asking yourself, how long could something like this really happen? The answer is you don't know, and this light on it. It's just such a pointless, cliche, uninteresting movie. All I really gotta say is 2 out of 10 on the horror scale. It's not scary, it's not interesting, albeit you do kind of hate the bullies, but that's just because they're on screen so much doing the exact same things and being so generic and so uninteresting, I honestly just don't care. Also, period in shower is creepier now than ever because the kid actually is 16. I know Chloe Moretz is ridiculously hot, but for crying out loud, did you want us all to wonder if the guy next to us was a pedophile? Jeez. Anyway, question for today. Do you agree with me? This film I know made a fair amount of money, but some people really like it, others don't. Tell me below, did you care for this movie, or are there any Stephen King films that you think really get it and get it right? I know there are a few, but let's be honest, some of his stinkers are legendary. And if you want to see when the legendary next review comes out from us legendary people here at Kevin and Friends, click on that subscribe button below. And remember, don't bully or you'll get killed on prom night.